I'm a long-term youth worker and supporter of those who support young people, which includes mentoring youth workers both in church-based youth ministry or working in their local community. I'm also the author of a book called From Isolation to Community, which is about youth work in the COVID era and beyond, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So a couple of questions for you to ponder as we begin. What has your youth ministry looked like during the pandemic? And what would you like your youth ministry to look like as we eventually emerge from this really challenging year or so? As I've spoken to youth workers from across the UK, it seems to me there's been a real range of responses, especially initially in March last year. Some have had a surge of creativity, others felt more stuck and adrift, with a common response being, I'm a youth worker, I can't meet with young people, how do I do this? For many church-based youth workers, it's proved really difficult to keep contact going over Zoom or other video calling platforms. Even the CEO of Zoom himself, not even he envisaged his platform being used in the way that it has been over the last 12 months for everything from meals with friends to weddings and even funerals. But we do know, don't we, that youth work works best in person when we're in the same physical space together. And those days are coming back, but we do need to resist the urge to simply go back to normal when normal wasn't working, not in terms of our young people's health, mental health and well-being, and not in terms of reaching young people with the gospel. So what do we need to consider putting in place which might bring different results? Well, online youth work has become the thing, the way of staying connected with young people during the pandemic. Nearly all the different organisations I spoke to had done something online, not all on Zoom, as one person commented to me that, well, Zoom is an adult space, requiring a whole new etiquette and language. How many times have you said over the last year, you're on mute? And since when have young people ever really wanted to inhabit the same space as adults? If you add in problems with accessing technology within families, sometimes only one or two devices available, and video calling can be tricky to manage. Even if the young person has a smartphone, group calling on Zoom on a smartphone isn't a brilliant experience. So, often young people will disengage. And of course, Zoom fatigue is real, both for participants and for leaders. However, there are lots of other ways to do online youth work. And the best thing is that if you or I don't know how to go live on Instagram or Facebook, or how to create content that young people will really engage with, your young people will. They will know, and they will want to participate, want to take part. This principle of getting young people to participate also holds true for Zoom and other video platforms. Encouraging your young people to put together a session along a particular theme will really help to boost engagement, even now, even at this point. Online youth work is great for accessibility and inclusivity. There's one organisation that I spoke to who runs Prince's Trust courses, and they had a group of 9 young people on an 8-week course over Zoom using video calling. They were on 3 calls a day for 8 weeks. That's 3 calls a day for 8 weeks, and the 9 of them stuck with it through the whole thing, which was incredible. And for those young people, one of those young people really suffered a lot from anxiety that stopped her really from leaving the house. So to be able to access a group without having to leave her house, without having to even leave her bedroom, was a really helpful thing for her, and meant that she gained confidence in making new friends without having to struggle with leaving the house. And another of those young people lived in a very remote part of that county, and had they been meeting in person, would have had to get 2 buses and walk a significant distance, which was quite a challenge for them to overcome, really. So the fact that they could access it from their own room, from their own house, was a really helpful thing. And online has its value. There is definite value in connecting with young people online and making sure that everybody gets to engage with that. But it cannot replace the kind of in-person, in the same space at the same time interaction entirely. And outdoors is the safest communal space for us to be in right now. We know how good outdoors is for us, don't we? I'm just going to kind of run through 4 or 5 different aspects, reasons for why being outdoors with young people is a really positive thing. It's good for our mental health and well-being. Being in nature is a really great way to calm anxious hearts and minds. It's recommended by all mental health charities and even has a therapeutic title of ecotherapy. We know how good it is for us to be outside. For adults and young people in particular, perhaps, who have become fearful of going anywhere because of the pandemic, it's really crucial to encourage them. And what better time as we head into spring? The temperature is warming up, flowers beginning to emerge, trees starting to bloom. It's a really lovely time to be outside. The outdoors is good for our physical health and fitness. Some of our young people have stayed physically active during all the restrictions, which is really great. However, many of our young people have lost even the residual fitness that they would have had from getting themselves to school daily, walking around school, regular PE lessons, would have given them a kind of a reason to move at least, and they haven't had that so much. And some young people have been really resistant to going and getting daily exercise. So reclaiming some level of fitness is going to be really crucial for them. Walking, scooting, kicking a football, about cycling, running, playing any kind of game at all that moves the body, all really good to do outdoors. And many can just be done one-to-one as well, depending on what the restrictions are. Walking side by side with a young person in surroundings that are different to their home can lead to some really interesting conversations. Being outdoors in green spaces, as I've said, creates a quiet and relaxed mind, and the very act of walking can create an energy. It creates an energy that really helps to untangle thoughts and emotions and even bring new ideas to the surface. The outdoors is good for growing confidence, learning new skills that can't be taught in the classroom, remembering that it's okay to be outdoors and enjoying nature, offering the opportunity to talk openly about risk and how young people can keep themselves safe without letting fear stop them from enjoying challenging activities. The outdoors is good for building relationships, walking together, discovering things together, achieving a task together. All of these things are great for building relationships and are great for things that we do outdoors. There's something different about doing things outdoors to inside. Maybe it's the space, maybe it's the fresh air, maybe it's the side-by-side nature of some of these things which make the outdoors a really good kind of space to be building relationships in. The outdoors is great for connecting with creation. A year ago, the idea of doing church outdoors was quite a niche one and probably only once a year thing. Then along came COVID-19 and suddenly not only is outdoor church a good idea, but it's recommended by many of the denominations. And organisations like Muddy Church and Forest Church have grown in popularity and reach. Books such as Rewilding the Church by Steve Asthorpe, Wild Lent by Rachel Summers, and Creative Ideas for Wild Church by Mary Jackson and Juno Hollyhock have been produced and are selling. The latter are two very much that are resource books which can help anyone who might be unsure about how to explore spirituality and faith in an outdoor setting. Getting back in touch with seeing God in nature, with experiencing the breath of the Holy Spirit whilst walking through a woodland or on a beach or alongside a river is essential. It's going to look and feel very different from what we've been used to as a church or a youth group, but worth embracing and exploring as restrictions lift and we can start to gather again. Creating time and space for young people to see each other and chat in a way that is as normal as possible is going to be key in our recovery from COVID-19 and all the restrictions of the past year. Eye contact is so important, and it's one of the reasons why video calling is so exhausting. We don't have eye contact with others on the call. In her book, Love 2.0, Barbara Fredrickson's overarching theory is that although we usually think of love as something that's either romantic or consists of strong connections between family members or friends who are like family. In actual fact, love can be experienced in all places, with all sorts of people. She talks about micro moments as being a moment of connection with another human being, a moment of eye contact. Two or more people co-experiencing emotions together are experiencing what it means to be connected in with something bigger than themselves. As Christians, we know that we are all born for this connection with something bigger than ourselves. We know that we are born for community, love, and connection. And outdoor activities are great ways to make those connections. So I want to finish with this image of Youthwork, which I really love. Youthwork can be thought of as gardening rather than carpentry. In fact, all working with people is like this. You plant what you think are purple tulips, but they actually turn out to be flame red, or not tulips at all, but something very different. As youth workers, we're not building a structure where everything has its place and function. You're no doubt aware that people have a tendency not to conform to any expectations we might have of them. But we are tending a garden where every living thing has beauty and worth, where one gardener's weeds are another gardener's flowers, where nothing is neat and tidy, where there's some predictable things, but also lots of uncertainty. We tend a garden of hope and sanctuary, to build community by offering stability and a place to grow, just like a garden. So let's embrace the opportunities we have now to change our practices and to adapt to our surroundings. Let's embrace a blend of online and outdoor experiences, giving our young people the opportunity to explore their faith whilst also revelling in all that nature has to offer. Creation is there for us to explore and discover new things about ourselves and the one who made us. Thank you so much for listening today. If you would like to contact me, my contact details are on the screen, and that includes buying the book or asking about mentoring for youth workers. Thanks.
Nothing beats sitting on it, hearing it, tasting it, wearing it, handling it, trying it, comparing it.
The copier produces 1,000 copies for £4. The Riso digital printer produces 1,000 copies for £1.20 at 140 pages per minute.
Discussing it.
The interesting thing about this centre is it's a very difficult breed on a very small site.
Buying it. Recommending it. I definitely recommend it.
It's always good to have resources, and this is very resourceful, so it's a great place to be.
Nothing beats being here. Buy your tickets online now. creonline.co.uk/tickets.